This is Metropolix version 1.1. Let's take a look at some of the special new enhancements and capabilities. The Accumulator is a really fun and useful feature on the Metropolix. If I have this simple 4-stage sequence running, it's pretty static and boring. If I go to the Accumulator and I put a value of +1 on stage 1, every time this cycles through, stage 1 is going to accumulate in pitch, and it goes up by 1 scale degree at a time until it reaches its upper limit and then wraps around and starts back at the same note. The scale right now is the major 7th chord, so it's a 4-note scale. And we go to our limit menu, you can see that the positive limit is 7, so it goes up 7 degrees and then it resets. That's a pretty useful way to get some more movement out of a simple sequence. But on version 1.1, we've added a whole bunch of new features to the Accumulator to make it even more powerful. So first of all, I'm going to change these limits to a smaller range. And we were accumulating on a single stage, and we now have a new mode called track mode. And you can hear what happens is every time it hits the accumulation point, the entire track transposes. It accumulates by, right now, 1 scale degree instead of just a stage. So we're getting the equivalent of a chord progression this way. And now we've added some new orders too. So the default before was wrap mode, where it goes to its limit and then wraps back to the beginning point. We have pendulum. Which is pretty self-explanatory. It goes to its limit and then back down. So it's up and down. Random, which is basically drunken walk. So there's a 50% chance it'll go up or forward, 30% chance it'll go backwards, and a 20% chance it'll stay the same. So generally it'll trend in one direction. And the step size that you set for the accumulation is the maximum amount that it could possibly go. So it's going to be some random value between 1 and that value you set. And then the last one is hold. You can hear it went up to the limit and then it stopped accumulation and just held there. If I reset it, it starts that sequence all over again. So if you play with some clever ways of resetting this hold point, whether it's through manual control or external or mod lanes, it can make for some really interesting control over the movement within a sequence. So let's go to back to wrap mode. Right now we've been in unipolar range, which means that if I have a positive value, it goes up from there to its positive limit and then resets back to it. If I had a negative value, it would just go into the negative region and back. But if I set this to bipolar, then it will go all the way up and then all the way to the lowest point too. Reset right now is manual, which means that I either press this button, global reset through this jack, or I assign reset through the aux inputs or through a mod lane to specifically reset the accumulator. But if I put it to auto, then it will reset whenever the track resets, and that depends on things such as the track length. So in this case, if this was auto, then it would never automatically reset, it would just be free running. But if this was to some fixed number, like I had it at 16, then after 16 pulses, it's going to reset. If I put it at a lower number, it'll reset sooner. Now it's more cyclical because of that. To go with all the new accumulator options, we have some new control assignments. So the first one is direction. Right now, the direction is forward. So we are in wrap and it's track mode. So we hear the accumulations going up and wrapping around to the starting point. You can see this little icon up here. This shows that this is actually a tri-state control. So forward, hold in the middle, and then reverse or the opposite direction when you're full counterclockwise. So this is a great way to manually control your sequence. If you're aware of the direction, then you can reverse it. or pause it at a specific point. Next control is mode. So we're in track mode. And if I toggle this, now we're in stage mode. So now just stage 1 is accumulating. And I can go back to track mode. And the last one is polarity. This is also a tri-state control. So right now the polarity is positive. If I go in the middle, it's bipolar. So now it's using the positive and the negative limits. And if I go full counterclockwise, it's negative. So even though this was a unipolar wrap accumulation, and it should have only been going, and it was +1 is the value, it's now considered to be -1, so that it's only going in the negative region, because I've used this to change the polarity. And then I can change it back. So just a bunch more interesting controls to allow you to really bring your sequences to life. And when you combine this with hands-on control or automating these sorts of things with the mod lanes or external, you can make your sequences extremely dynamic. We've added 14 new scales to the Metropolix in version 1.1. Go to the scale menu, scroll to the end of the original set of scales, and you'll see new ones like major, major 6, major 7, basically a series of major and minor scale variations. Most of these are 3, 4, 5 notes long, and they play really nicely with the accumulator to get more traditional type arpeggio patterns.